Hey guys, it's Melissa and I hope you're having an amazing day. Today I'm going to be talking about research and I'm hoping this is going to become a series, so stay tuned for that. I know when I was starting out in research, it was just so daunting trying to figure out what to do first, so I really hope that this video helps you at least get an idea of what to do. So the first category is getting your foot in the door. A lot of research positions ask you to already have experience, which is a really tough position to be in. So I recommend, the number one way in my opinion, is to do case competitions of some sort. These are really great because a lot of the time there'll be a sort of conference or meeting something and you could put that in your resume. And also another way is to look at any scholarships or anything that your university offers. So for example, my university has two different research scholarships. One is for during the year and the other one is during the summer. And just pick through the website, see if there's anything that you're interested in. The great thing about a lot of these scholarships is that although they obviously want you to try and find your own supervisor, if you can't find a supervisor, they will help you find one. So this is another great way to kind of get your foot in the door. Now that you've got an idea or kind of got a feeling for research, how do you actually find a supervisor? Well, my first recommendation, and this is before you even start looking for research positions, is to get to know your professors, the classes that you're taking. So go to, office hours, talk to these professors after class, make sure that they remember your name, ask good questions, and be active in class. I know it's really annoying, but that is really how you leave an impression, and that professor is more likely to remember you when you go talk to them later. That leads me on to the next thing, meet people in person. I know it's a lot tougher with COVID and the restrictions always changing, but if you can, I definitely recommend in person. But if you can't, it's totally fine to email as well. Another option is there's virtual networking events or virtual conferences, that sort of thing that you can sign up. Just look up on Eventbrite and you will probably be able to find at least something happening in your area. So just try and branch out, and if you can, get the professor to see your face so that they remember you. Also, a person who goes through the effort to either meet up in person or to do some sort of video call with a professor, then the professor knows that this person is dedicated, that they're ambitious, they're not just sending an email. Again, if you're just sending cold emailing, it's fine, but you just have a higher chance if they actually interact with you beforehand. Another way that you can get to a professor is through co-op. So sometimes professors will list their lab on the co-op page, or even my university has a community engagement navigator, and sometimes professors list their lab under there. So look at these different options and you might be able to find something. Another way that you can find a professor is to see if anyone is in a lab with a professor, because that will tell you if the lab is active and if they're taking in your peers. Then you could contact that professor and see if they have extra space. You could also try emailing your faculty or talking to an academic advisor to see if they have any lists for available professors. That could also help. So moving on to the next part, emailing professors. When you email a professor, you want to keep everything really short, really formal, concise. Professors really don't have time. So if it's a long paragraph, they're not going to read it. But when you're preparing to write this, you should read through their research, read through papers that they published. I will be posting a video talking about how to look through papers and stuff. But just try and get an idea. Look through their lab website if they have one, or a lot of labs even have Instagram pages. Look through and really figure out what it is that they're doing so that you can tell if you're interested in that. It's honestly a lot better to send a few quality emails than to send a bunch of generic emails that they're all going to ignore. The beginning can be pretty similar. So you want to introduce yourself, state your major or which program you're in, and also to every email you want to attach your academic CV, which I have a video for, and you want to attach your transcript, so unofficial transcript. Even if you're worried that your transcript isn't that high, I personally think that it's better to just attach the transcript, because that way the professor knows who it is that's applying. They kind of get a better idea of you. And it doesn't necessarily work badly. Like, you could have a low GPA but show improvement, and for a lot of professors that's more important than just, you know, being like at one range the entire time. Again, if you're at one range, it's not that bad. And that's not what I'm trying to say. It's better to just be upfront, be honest, and just send it all right away. In the content of the email, after that introduction, I would put a summary almost of what the professor did or what you find interesting. And if you want to be extra, you can start like writing out how you think you could contribute to a project. Again, be super careful about this, because if you don't have any research experience, you might not really know what to write, which is fine. And don't feel like you have to. It's just an added thing that you can add. But again, you want to keep the email short. And of course, in your email, you want to keep everything super formal. So refer to the professor as Dr. blah, blah, blah. If they're a professor, they're a doctor. Don't use slang, don't use emojis. And so let's say that you got through, like you're talking to a professor. Also keep in mind, if you're just cold emailing, chances are you're gonna have to send like 20 plus emails, which is a lot of work. Be prepared for that and start looking as soon as possible. So once you get through this process, let's say there's a couple of professors that you can't really choose from. What I recommend is that you look at their actual labs. So see if you can meet with some of the lab mates, see what they say, if they like working in the lab. If not, some things to consider. In a bigger lab, chances are you're not going to ever talk to the PI, which is the principal investigator, who is the professor. Chances are you're never going to talk to them. You're just going to talk to a PhD student. And on the other hand, if you're in a small lab, you'll get direct feedback from that professor. So you could ask for references. It might hold a little more weight than like a PhD student's. Usually you get to be more involved in a project, but the bigger labs usually get more funding. So they do bigger projects that you might be able to do more because it's just more funded. Also in a small lab, you're more likely to be involved in writing a paper, for example, because there's just more space for people to contribute. And now the final part. Let's say you've gotten an email back and now you're invited to interview. So first of all, you should talk to the lab mates, see what they say, see if they like the lab, if they don't like the lab. And also talk to the professor about what their expectations are. This is very important. So you want to ask them how many hours they are expecting you to work. Some professors expect a lot more than others, and you should be aware of that before you commit so that you don't end up just, you know, making things really difficult for yourself and for that professor. So another thing is professors talk. So you really want to make sure that you're putting in the most amount of effort that you can, producing the best work that you can, because if you're just slacking, then the other professors in the faculty will know about that too, probably. Really commit to research when you get in. And the final thing is, don't be disheartened if you can't find anyone. Just keep looking, keep sending emails, talk to people, talk to other professors, and you will eventually find someone. Just like research, it has a lot of setbacks and you have to be ready to put yourself out there and to be perseverant. Anyways, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Before I go, a few questions. Do you guys have a research position? What kind of research are you interested? If you do have research, how did you get into research, or how did you contact your prof? Do you have any other advice? Please leave them all in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!